A question that could get us in a bit of heat. Probably going to trigger some people. Probably going to trigger some people.
I apologise for what I have to say.
Apologise in advance. Are men and women equal?
Right. Is that like an intro or is this just like a
straight up raw dog in this question?
I think in like day-to-day life they should be.
Mm-hmm.
I think responsibility wise, all that, equal rights, equal fights, all that shit, like don't hit women, obviously, but I think that they should be.
Mm-hmm.
However, unfortunately,
mm-hmm.
I don't think they are.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's like, obviously there's men, men will rule the world. There's always going to be like that sort of shit. I think women are generally prejudiced against. It isn't saying like, guys aren't, but I think, I'd rather be a guy than a woman because of all the shit. Like, I can walk through fucking the wreck at night and not be worried, but like, girls can't walk.
I think you should be worried. You got enemies out there.
I got shooters, I got ops. It's like I can do all that shit because I'm a man. It's like strength-wise and like physically. I think there's always going to be biological differences. Yeah. I think men will always be stronger than women, and that's just
physically. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just nature-wise. Mm-hmm. So no. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I sort of agree with you there. Because I've been thinking about it a lot, and Jordan Peterson in his book described it very good. He called it like chaos and order. Mm-hmm. So I do think men and women should be treated equally. Yeah. Like, you shouldn't be like, oh, you're a woman, you're not allowed this job. Like, that's just fucked up. Uh-huh. But I think men and women are actually polar opposites. It's like the idea of like masculinity and femininity, and they complement each other. Like, you need one to have the other. Okay. And Jordan Peterson, I'm going to put my own little twist in it as well. Chaos is femininity. So it's kind of like Mother Nature. Like, Mother Nature is like, it's beautiful, but it's chaotic. Like, if you fuck with Mother Nature, like, she get like earthquakes, fucking diseases and shit. Like, it'll fucking hurt you. And as well, like, the nurturing care of a mother. Like, she'll look after a child, but like, if you try and like think like a mother grizzly bear. Oh yeah, you try and think about shit. If you try and like go near their child, they'll kill you. And then order was like the masculinity. So like kind of like father time, that sort of like regulating and like law keeping and strength and like just like keeping everyone the same and like in order. And I think that was a good kind of way of putting it, because when you sort of keep the genders as the same, then like it doesn't really mix well. If you try and like treat a man as a woman, then it's not very good for the man. Like, men, especially young boys, they need a male role model to look up to. If you give them a lot of time, you give them a female role model, it doesn't really they're not going to develop the sort of qualities of a man usually, because when they don't see like a man should be like looking after his people, and typically like the stereotypical like alpha male kind of thing. Like, he looks after his people, and he helps everyone, and he'll build shit, and like it's
a provider.
A provider. And then the traditional like mother is kind of caring and whatnot. Then like that feminine kind of aspect I don't think should be kind of used to bring up a male, because then you're gonna have weak men, because they're not gonna be usually as strong, if you get what I mean.
Sort of. What in your opinion are the qualities of a man? Because you said that they wouldn't have that. What is that to you?
Physically strong, physically and mentally strong. Mm-hmm. So like a typical leader, a man leader would any leader really, but a typical like stereotypical leader throughout history has been males. Mm-hmm. Probably because maybe we are more stronger, or some as well of it is a bit of sexism.
Yeah, I think especially if you take anything between 20 years ago, and before then is a big majority sexism.
Mm-hmm. So like, yeah, strong physically and mentally, looks after their kind of their tribe and their people. He's dependable. Like if you get what I mean, like he's if you're in trouble, like he can like back you up.
Yeah, reliable guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm still kind of like figuring out this concept myself. Like I haven't fully kind of meshed it out, and you can probably tell that from what I've just said. But like, it's something that I do kind of agree with, and I like the idea of. In his book as well, Jordan Peterson gave examples from history, because it's always kind of been represented throughout history, like yin and yang, chaos and order.
Mm-hmm.
They have a bit like like the small dot inside the black and the white. That's sort of the opposite color, so it's kind of telling you that you need one to have the other, and they complement each other well. Like Adam and Eve.
Not Adam and Steve. As we've heard that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No, I get what you're saying.
There's a polarity between the two, and they shouldn't be like muddled, if that makes sense.
Okay. Well, do you think that when you say that men should be like mentally and physically strong,
mm-hmm.
do you think that men should be more mentally, physically stronger than women?
Not necessarily. It's again like you said before about men are biologically
mm-hmm.
stronger. Like you shouldn't like men should not be like.
No, yeah,
they should not be weak.
I don't think anybody should be weak.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone should always be strong. But
mm-hmm.
I think. See, I don't know. I feel like a lot of the times you find a lot of women are more, on average, I'd say more mentally strong than men, because we have the comfort zone of all these different things we don't think about. For example, the walking late at night. We don't have to worry about that.
That's true, yeah.
The constant fear and anxiety, I feel like women do feel, because if you see a guy in the street and say he's like walking towards you, you think he's about to front you, you're gonna think, okay, I'm gonna have to fight.
Mm-hmm.
This is a fight.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas as a girl,
mm-hmm.
it's like, what does he want to do to me? I've never thought this guy is gonna try and fuck me.
Yeah.
Which I'm so grateful for.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Like that, just having to think day-to-day life.
Mm-hmm.
Like obviously you see people and you're like, wow, he could fuck me up in a fight. It's like, okay, whatever. But thinking that person could literally do what they want to me, like that is a fear that I hope I never have to feel.
Yeah.
So I think.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think women are generally more mentally strong than men. I don't disagree. I think that men should be strong and all that shit. Obviously with like the soft side and all. It's an interesting one. I think I get what you're saying with the whole. Fuck, it's so difficult to try and like articulate this.
Yeah, I feel like for about a week or two now straight, I've been like. Just when I get random time to myself, I'm kind of like thinking about this and like trying to, sort it out in my head.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you don't think about. You just know that, okay, that's that. This is that. So when you actually have to try and explain it to somebody, bro, this is difficult. Women, right? Baseline. I think if you put it down to the basics, the whole men should be able to provide for themselves and for a family, and I think that. If they can't do that, do you think that makes them less of a man?
Yes.
Oh, across the board, 100%.
If you go back to like when we were like tribal days, when we were just like a group of us, and like you got to provide, like you have to be able to provide. Like typically the men would be going out and hunting. So we still, our brains still haven't sort of evolved from that.
Yeah,
so that like, what would you call it? Like
primitive instinct.
Yeah, primitive instinct of like being able to provide. You're gonna feel like if you inside feel like I can't go out and get shit and provide for a family or even myself, then you're gonna feel a bit less of a man, because you're not gonna feel secure in yourself that. If worst comes to worst, I can't do anything. Like having that like safety like mechanism of I can handle tough times and I can get through shit and still come out the other end of it. Then that helps you feel like a man. Like you need to feel like secure in yourself.
Yeah. Okay. What about the tribes where women hunt or and shit like that? Because they do exist. And do you think as well that I suppose that adds to your point about the working together, like the yin and yang, like because I feel like the whole tribal mindset is we're a tribe.
Yeah.
We learn about psychology.
Oh, okay.
You dropped psychology, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. The
psychology.
I actually did this in today's lesson. It's like individual differences or individualistic culture and fucking I'm so bad at psychology and some other shit. And it's the idea of in the Western sort of side, you see more of like individual success.
Yeah.
The man who did it all himself, all that shit. Whereas in the sort of the example you use like Africa, how they are one for all for one, you know.
Yeah, so that's
it's
a
about
good
loyalty
mentality
to the tribe,
Yeah.
about providing for everybody, helping everybody. I think I definitely think we could probably benefit from thinking more like that.
Yeah, of course. Especially as a society in general, like it's sort of especially like working like on a computer. Like that is a very individualistic kind of thing. When you've got a team, then it's a bit different.
Yeah.
But yeah, having a sense of community is definitely very good. Especially going back, like trying to bring it back to the like men and women thing. Like when you said about the like female providers of the tribe, yeah, you should provide. They should be able to provide as well. But I think there is definitely just physiologically and instinctively that sort of, for men anyway, that sort of want to be able to like provide and like it is difficult, like because I don't agree with this, like being like, oh yeah, women shouldn't like be doing, you know, shit or anything. Like I think they should, and but it's hard to verbalize. Yeah, there should be like a collective kind of
there should be a team effort.
Yeah, so if you think like the household, like everyone should be able to provide for the kids, like everyone should be able to provide the father and the mother. But again, like traditionally it'll be in different ways, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm. Before you said that a kid needs a male influence, otherwise they necessarily...
I'd say a boy definitely does.
A boy, okay, yeah, so a boy. Do you think that, say like lesbian couples and single mothers and shit like that, do you think that their sons, like, do you think that every time? Do you think it's necessary? Do you think there's such a stark difference?
I think there should be doesn't have to be a father, but there should be like a male role model who has some good qualities to look up to for a male. Because it helps the boy kind of relate to the male, if that kind of makes sense. Because like, because I've been pretty much like brought up with my single mom, and my mum, like I love to pieces, and like, you know,
thanks for that. She's your kitchen, Emma. Appreciate it.
I appreciate everything that she's done for me.
Yeah.
But I think that if I didn't have like access to the internet and I could see boxes and strong male role models, then I wouldn't have gone to the gym, started boxing, started trying to work on myself. Because if I didn't, I'd just be playing video games and like eating shit food and whatnot. Because the mum naturally wants the child to be happy and wants to care for them. And so if I wanted like some sweets and I was like, oh, Mum, I really want some sweets, and then she'd be like, oh yeah, of course. If that makes you happy, then you can have that. But a strong real male role model would think, well, hang on, like this isn't good for you. So you got to learn that you should have something like healthier instead. For example, instead of like giving into the child's needs, the mum, like my mum is like a healthy person. She'd make lots of healthy food. But if like I wanted like a Lucasade or something, and like then I would probably get it.
Yeah.
And I was, until I sort of started boxing and started seeing these like positive, like strong male role models, then like I wouldn't have like lost weight and sort of become a stronger person.
Do you think you will be or do you think you'll be a good male role model?
I don't know. I would definitely hope so.
Yeah. Do you think right now you're a good male role model?
A bit, yeah.
Yeah, I'd say in most aspects.
Thank you.
Just apart from the, crippling drug addiction.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, you just need someone who can you can look up to, and because like there is sort of there's always gonna I would say I've got quite lucky
Mm-hmm.
in like gang kind of areas. If you look at like the statistics of like single mothers, like statistically in areas where there are no very little male role models, crime rates go up.
Do they? Interesting.
Yeah.
You got the statistics.
I haven't got it back. I can Google it.
Yeah. That is interesting. It's a weird topic because there's so much to sort of factor in and think about.
Yeah,
which makes
it's not
it
like
difficult to talk about.
It's not like single variable
yeah.
equation. Do crime rates increase in?
I think, like, what's the word? Best case scenario, whether it is an actual male role model or a female one, I think you need a strong, good-natured role model. I think that's necessary for, optimum development and all that shit. I don't necessarily think it has to be male, because I suppose I don't like my main role model in my life is my brother less than my dad,
right?
Because my dad's like he's great, a little sexist, but he's he's great. I think you probably, as long as you can find it somewhere, whether it be like in your case, the internet and boxes, or it could be a music artist, it could be whatever. I think I don't even know.
Yeah, it is a tricky one. I'm listening. I'm just trying to.
Yeah, no, don't worry. It's just sort of trying to think about it sends my head in like a weird spiral of oh my god, even trying to explain it. I'm awful at telling stories because I will tell you one thing and then I'll start thinking about something else and try to explain that bit, context for that bit.
Yeah, I do that all the time.
And so even this, I start talking one point and then it swiftly turns into a different one.
Okay, so this is on mnpsych.org, so Minnesota Psychological Association. Father absent homes, implications for criminal justice and mental health professionals. The number of this is in the United States. So the number of single-parent households in the United States has reached high levels in recent decades. As the extant.
Let's see.
Extant. Have I read that right?
As the extant literature, yeah, I guess.
What does that mean? Someone tell us what it means, please.
Yeah, can we have a strong male role model? Tell us what that means.
Suggests that children raised in single-parent households experience more physical and psychological problems compared to those raised in two-parent households. The implications of homes in which fathers are absent may be important to explore for criminal justice and mental health professionals. The number of children who grow up without a father in the home in the United States has reached concerning levels. Hang on. There exists a considerable research base that suggests that children raised in households lacking a father experience psychosocial problems with greater frequency than children with a father in the home. That was Allen and Daly, 2007.
Weird.
These problems have been found to extend into adolescence and adulthood and include an increased risk of substance use, depression, suicide, poor school performance, and contact with the criminal justice system. Lack of parental involvement has also been associated with a higher likelihood of being bullied and experiencing abuse. Educating young fathers and helping them play a more active role in the child's life could benefit both families and communities. Children who grow up without their fathers may come to resent paternal figures due to perceived abandonment. As a child grows into these feelings may burgeon, I don't know how to pronounce that, from a lack of trust and result in a heightened sense of anger. As a child grows into adolescence and young adulthood, these problems may contribute to contact with the criminal justice system, use of illicit substances, as well as a variety of mental health problems. For example, anger stemming from abandonment can make it difficult for juveniles to establish friendships and relationships.
Shit.
Yeah.
So I guess
So
Get a baby daddy, you know, like.
so it's just a point, isn't it? Like something to kind of think about, really. Like, is it essential? Like,